Radha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 4, Chapter 1, Text 19. Would anyone like to read the Sanskrit? Anyone wants to try?
Yeah, I can just
please.
Try. Pranayamen samyamya manaha varsha shatam muni atishtatam ekpadena nirdvandah anil bhojanaha.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. There the great sage concentrated his mind by the yogic breathing exercises and thereby controlling all attachment. He remained standing on one leg only, eating nothing but air, and stood there on one leg for 100 years. So we are speaking about, we had gone to the river, let me read the earlier one, Nirvindya, where the husband and wife, who were the husband and wife? Let's read again. Atri Muni and Anasuya. So they went to Nirvindya, and over there they are doing austerities. And he's standing there on one leg, only breathing for 100 years, controlling all attachment and doing the pranayam. Okay. Does anyone want to read this one?
I can try. Sharanam tam prapadhye aham ya ev jagat ishwarah prajam atmasamamaham prayakshatu iti chintayam.
He was thinking, may the Lord of the universe, of whom I have taken shelter, kindly be pleased to offer me a son exactly like him. It appears that the great sage Atri Muni had no specific idea of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, he must have been conversant with the Vedic information that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead who is the creator of the universe, from whom everything emanated, who maintains this created manifestation, and whom the entire manifestation is conserved after dissolution. So we may know that God exists, that God is the creator, God is the one who's creating the universe, God is the one who's maintaining the universe, and God is the one in whom the entire universe is again going to dissolve into him. But who is he? Not many people know. Not many people know that Krishna is God. Because why? Because many don't want to know. So Krishna does not reveal himself. Krishna is, he says, as one surrenders to me, to that degree I reveal myself. So if one wants to know who is God, Krishna makes arrangements for the person to know him. But if one does not want to know that God is a person, then Krishna does not reveal himself. Then we may think, oh, God is just some energy or some idea or some power, but not a person. But whereas the Vedas keep saying Krishna is the Supreme Lord, Krishna himself says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the source of everything. Lord Brahma says, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. So we can see all the great authorities keep saying Krishna is God, yet not many people know that God is a person. So by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are getting to know this. So we are very fortunate indeed. Yato va imani bhutani Taititriya Upanishad 3.1.1. The Vedic mantras give us information of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Atri Muni concentrated his mind upon that Supreme Personality of Godhead, even without knowing his name, just to beg from him a child exactly on his level. So he does not know who's God, but he's praying to God, I want a child like you. This kind of devotional service, in which knowledge of God's name is lacking, is also described in Bhagavad Gita, where the Lord says that 4 kinds of men with backgrounds of pious activities come to him asking for what they need. Does anyone remember what kind of four pious people come to Krishna? Krishna says that in the 7th chapter.
The person who's in distress,
Yes.
and person who wants wealth, means money.
Yes. Yes.
A person who's sick, who's in pain.
That is comes in distress already.
In distress, huh?
Yeah.
A person who's inquisitive.
That's right.
And one more.
Knowledge.
Knowledge.
The person who
was seeking knowledge.
Seeking
Yes,
knowledge.
thank you. Yeah. So Krishna says that these 4 kinds of pious people come to him. So what kind of piety they must have done? Not ordinary material piety, but some agyata sukriti, some kind of service to the devotee, somewhere they got in touch with the devotee, then they come to Krishna. Because we can see that there are so many pious people who are looking for wealth, but they don't all come to Krishna. Then there are so many pious people who are in distress, but not all of them come to Krishna. So one who has gotten this agyata sukriti. So we should try to give this opportunity to everyone. Connect everyone to Krishna somehow or the other, so they can also come to Krishna. Because after all, Krishna is our Father. We all need to go back home, back to Godhead. So we can facilitate for everyone to again reunite with Krishna, to develop their love of Krishna. Atri wanted a son exactly like the Lord, and therefore he is not supposed to have been a pure devotee, because he had a desire to be fulfilled, and that desire was material. Although he wanted a son exactly like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this desire was material. Why was it material? Imagine he's wanting God to be his son, and yet he's being called that his desire is material. Because he did not want the personality of Godhead himself, but only a child exactly like him. If he had desired the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his child, he would have been completely free of material desires, because he would have wanted the Supreme Absolute Truth. But because he wanted a similar child, his desire was material. Thus, Atri Muni cannot be counted among the pure devotees. So why Atri Muni is saying that even though he wants a child like God, his desire is still material, is because he does not want God himself. He wants a child who is like God. If he would have said, yes, I want you, my dear Lord, I want you, then that is a pure desire. So any desire which we have for Krishna, that is a pure desire. Well, not desire like Kansa, that he wanted to kill Krishna, has to be favorable, pleasing to Krishna. Is that all right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because
so
he wants.
just one question. So the other one who desired, like the Devaki and Vasudev, their desire was pure, right? As the Rishabh Maharaj parents' desire was pure, because they all wanted the Supreme Lord Krishna as their child. So those were the pure, right, desires.
Yes, Vasudev. Yes, Vasudev and
Vasudev
Devaki,
and
they
Devaki.
wanted Krishna. They wanted Krishna as their child.
As their child, right? So that was the pure desire, but this is not.
That's right. That's right.
Because
Here,
he
his
wants a
desire is to
child.
have a child. His desire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not
That's the
Krishna as the child. So he's putting the child first, not the Krishna first. Is it?
That's right. So the intention. Again, everything comes to the intention. I was also, when I was reading, also thinking about Vasudeva and Devki, that they prayed and they wanted Krishna to be their child. We want a child like you, they told him. Now there's nobody like him, so he had to come himself. They said, we want a child like you. So that's why he had to come himself. And here, Atri Muni wants a son also. But the focus is that he wants the son, not God, because he doesn't know who's God. He doesn't know who's God. Yeah. So reading on, Tapyamanam Tribhuvanam Pranayamaidhasang Sagnina Nirgatena Munir Murdhana Samiksha Prabhavastrayaha. While Atri Muni was engaged in these severe austerities, a blazing fire came out of his head by virtue of his breathing exercise. And that fire was seen by the three principal deities of the three worlds. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the fire of pranayam is mental satisfaction. That fire was perceived by the Supersoul Vishnu, and thereby Lord Brahma and Shiva also perceived it. So Atri Muni is doing such rigorous austerities, such severe austerities, that from his head there's a fire coming out, blazing fire coming out of his head. I'm not sure if when Hiranyakashipu was doing austerities, did fire come from his head too. I remember that his body became all bones, but I don't know if there was a fire also.
I have also heard like even every Muni who do only it reduces to like, bones. This is maybe first time that the fire.
Hiranyakashipu became to bones. I've not heard of anyone else as bones, but
A lot of
yeah,
rishis
I guess.
also, like even Dhruv Maharaj, he turned, like when he was doing his austerity on the Paramatma, like when he was remembering in his heart and when he was doing, then he also like, converted to bones. And even Valmiki Rishi. No?
No.
No?
Dhruv Maharaj, no, he didn't turn to bones. Valmiki didn't. Dhruv Maharaj stopped breathing. So because he stopped breathing, no one else could breathe. Everyone was feeling suffocated.
Oh, so that was the reason. Okay.
And then Valmiki got covered by the anthill.
Okay, but he was not reduced to bones. They were not.
No, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, here there's a fire coming, and this fire is perceived by Paramatma, the super soul, Vishnu. And so Lord Brahma and Shiva are also able to see the fire. Atri Muni, by his breathing exercise, concentrated on the super soul or the Lord of the universe. So Atri Muni didn't know who's God, but he knows that God is the Paramatma in the heart. And so that's why he was meditating on the Paramatma. We heard also Kapila Muni was saying that the yogis, it's not that the yogis are, when they're doing meditation, they are meditating on nothing or some light or some candle. No, they're always meditating on the Paramatma. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord of the universe is Vasudeva. Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. And by the direction of Vasudeva, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva work. Therefore, on the direction of Vasudeva, both Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva perceive the severe penance adopted by Atri Muni, and thus they were pleased to come down, as stated in the next verse. So we can see here the role of the Paramatma. The Paramatma, he is in our heart, and he knows our desire. And then he relays this desire to the demigods, and he tells the demigods, okay, now this person wants to lift his hand. Okay, you lift his hand. And then the demigods will lift his hand or blink his eyes. So we can see, because we can't see the Paramatma, we are not able to see his function here. But he's the one who's facilitating all our desires, because he's sitting right next to us in our heart, and he knows our desires, and he makes the arrangements for the fulfillment of our desires. That's how kind Krishna is. Does anyone
I
want to address
just
this?
wonder,
Yes.
that it means the yogis, they concentrate on the super soul. So with a form or without a form?
So here just now we heard Atri Muni does not know. So
Mhm.
that who is God. So then I'm not sure. He probably didn't know that God has a form, but he just
The
knows that
super,
God is a Paramatma.
because Paramatma also has a form,
That's
correct?
right.
It's minute. I
Yes.
mean, it's small, less how what we have read before, but there's a
That's
form,
right. That's
right?
right. Yes. Yes, that's right. Because Lord Kapiladev again and again was stressing that point. So many verses he kept saying that the Paramatma has a form and the yogi is always thinking of
Mm.
the Paramatma in his Vishnu form. But here, I'm not sure because we just read that Atri Muni didn't know who is God. So I'm not sure if he knew that the Paramatma has a form.
Mm.
I don't want to speculate on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I'll read
So,
this verse. I'll try.
yes, yes, thank you.
Apsaro muni gandharva siddha vidyadharoraghe vit vitayamana yashasas tat ashrama padam yayu.
At that time, the three deities approached the hermitage of Atri Muni, accompanied by the denizens of the heavenly planets, such as the celestial beauties, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Vidyadharas, and the Nagas. Thus, they entered the ashram of the great sage who had become famous by his austerities. So he became famous. Everyone's come to meet him. Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, both have come. And Gadadhar, the Gandharvas, the Siddhas, the Apsaras, Vidyadharas, Nagas. It is advised in the Vedic literatures that one should take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of the universe and the Master of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. So even if we don't understand who's God, even if we don't know He is, we should take his shelter. Why? Because he will make arrangements for us to know him. We can simply understand that I'm not God. God is supreme. He's superior than me. And if we can surrender to him, then he will make arrangements for us to know him. He is known as the super soul, and when one worships the super soul, all other deities, such as Brahma and Shiva, appear with Lord Vishnu because they are directed by the super soul. So the Paramatma also tells them, okay, come now, come. We need to go here. We need to do this. I'm sorry, does anyone want to read?
Yeah, I can try. तत्प्रादुर्भाव संयोग विदोतीत मना मुनि उत्तिष्ठान एक पादेन दर्दश विबुध विश्भान.
The sage was standing on one leg, but as soon as he saw that the three deities had appeared before him, he was so pleased to see them all together that despite great difficulty, he approached them on one leg. So he's still approaching the deities on one leg. He's not putting his other leg down. Okay. Pranamya dandavad bhuma uppatasthe rahan nanjalihi varsha hamsa suparnastan swes chines chachinnitan. Thereafter, he began to offer prayers to the three deities who were seated on different carriers, a bull, a swan, and Garuda, who held in their hands a drum, kushagrass, and a discus. The sage offered them his respects by falling down like a stick. So all three have come, Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Brahma. Danda means a long rod, and what means like. Before a superior, one has to fall down on the ground just like a stick, and this sort of offering of respect is called Dandavat. Now we just say Dandavat Pranam. Dandavat Pranam. but he's actually doing the Dandavat. He's actually falling down like fully flat on the ground. Atri Rishi offered his respect to the three deities in that way. They were identified by their different carriers and different symbolic representations. In that connection, it is stated here that Lord Vishnu was sitting on Garuda, a big aquiline bird, and was carrying in his hand a disc. Brahma was sitting on a swan and had in his hand kusha grass, and Lord Shiva was sitting on a bull and carrying in his hand a small drum called Damaru. Atri recognized them by their symbolic representations and different carriers, and thus he offered them prayers and respects. Does anyone want to recount which Lord was sitting on which carrier and what they are holding?
Brahmaji was sitting on Hansa and he was holding a kusha grass. Shivji was sitting on a bull, like a bell, and he was holding the Damaru. And Vishnu was sitting on a Garud and he was holding the chakra. But I just have a question that this means that the danda, so but the dandavat, so like the ladies don't do the dandavat,
The ladies don't do Dandavat.
then
No.
can we offer the dandavat to, like, then we just write to some that dandavat pranam Prabhuji, so is it okay because we cannot do dandavat, but then is it
Yeah, we
okay?
can say. Yeah, we can say.
Okay.
We can mentally offer.
Okay.
Mentally can
Okay.
offer Dandavat.
Okay. So like it's okay to say dandavat, right? But we cannot do dandavat, but it's okay to say,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Tripavalokena hasadvada neno palamvitan tad rochesha pratihate nimilya munir akshini. Atri Muni was greatly pleased to see that the three devas were gracious towards him. His eyes were dazzled by the effulgence of their bodies, and therefore he closed his eyes for the time being. Since the deities were smiling, he could understand that they were pleased with him. Their glaring bodily effulgence was intolerable to his eyes, so he closed them for the time being. When we are looking at the sun also, when the sun is really blazing hot, we can't directly look at the sun. We close our eyes. Similarly, from the body of Lord Vishnu, the entire Brahman is coming. The Brahma Jyoti is coming from Krishna's body. And of course, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma also, they are effulgent because after all, we are all parts of Krishna. Why is the soul effulgent? We, the pure spirit soul, we are actually very effulgent. Our effulgence is covered now because we are in the body. Otherwise, the effulgence of the soul is compared to like millions of suns. In our pure state, we are very effulgent. Now, why are we effulgent? Why?
Because we are part and parcel of Krishna.
That's right. Yes. And Krishna is very effulgent. Yes, that's right. Thank you. So we'll stop here for today. We'll
Yes.
continue reading tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for listening and enjoying it.